Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are opening up a topic that, you know, it feels like it should be the easiest part of your vacation planning.
Right.
But according to the stack of research we have on the table, it's actually the primary source of buyer's remorse for travelers.
It really is.
We are talking about the strategic minefield of booking a cruise cabin. And I know what you're thinking. You pick a price, you pick a view, you're done.
That is exactly what the cruise lines want you to think. I mean, it's designed to look like a simple menu,
Yeah.
but it's actually a complex logic puzzle. The industry is brilliant at marketing labels. They sell you the suite, the balcony, the ocean view.
Right.
But the data argues that most travelers are approaching this completely backward. They're buying a status symbol when they should be, engineering an outcome.
It's that ladder mentality. I think we've all done it. You look at the website and you subconsciously rank them. Inside cabin is the basement, ocean view is okay, balcony is the standard, and suite is for when I win the lottery. We just assume price correlates perfectly with the quality of the experience.
Exactly. And that linear assumption is the trap. The core premise of the Lux Code, which is the methodology we are breaking down today, is that a higher price tag does not guarantee a better vacation.
Not at all.
In fact, you can pay double for a suite and end up with a statistically worse experience than someone in an interior room, simply because you didn't solve for the variables that actually matter to your specific trip.
That is a massive claim. You're saying the person paying $5,000 could be having a worse time than the person paying $1,000.
Absolutely. Think about it.
Yeah.
If that $5,000 suite is located directly under the pool deck, and you're a light sleeper,
Oh, no.
you've just purchased a very expensive, very noisy nightmare. You bought the label suite, but you failed to buy the outcome sleep.
And you can't just change rooms.
You're stuck with that mistake for 7 days.
I want to get into that distinction because buying outcomes sounds a lot more strategic than just picking a room number.
It is.
The source material outlines a framework here. It suggests that every cabin purchase is actually 4 specific purchases disguised as one.
That's the Lux Code philosophy. When you swipe your credit card, you are effectively buying 4 things: sleep, flow, pace, and access. If you ignore these 4, the square footage is, well, it's irrelevant.
Okay, let's break these down because I think sleep is the one everyone thinks they prioritize, but then they compromise on it immediately for a better view or a bigger TV.
They do. Sleep is the non-negotiable foundation. But on a ship, sleep isn't just about a comfortable mattress. It's about engineering.
Engineer.
You have to remember you are on a floating steel structure. Sound travels through steel differently than it does through wood or drywall. It conducts vibration.
So you're talking about mechanical noise, not just the neighbors arguing next door.
Precisely. You have engine vibration. You have the anchor chain dropping at 6 a.m., which sounds like a bomb going off if you're in the wrong forward cabin.
Right.
And you have the slamming of fire doors. If you don't account for the ship's structural acoustics, you could be in a beautiful room that vibrates like a tuning fork.
So the whole framework argues that if sleep is compromised, the vacation is basically over.
The value of the vacation drops to 0. It doesn't matter if you have a butler if you're running on 3 hours of sleep and hate everyone.
That makes total sense. You can't enjoy the lobster tail if you're a zombie. Okay, so sleep is outcome number 1. The second outcome is flow. This felt a bit more architectural to me. This is about how the room physically functions.
It is, yeah. Think of flow as the friction of movement. I mean, modern cruise cabins are marvels of engineering, but they are tight. Flow asks a simple question. Can 2 adults simultaneously get ready for dinner without performing a synchronized dance routine?
Oh, I know that dance. The cabin shuffle. I sit on the bed so you can open the closet, then I move to the door so you can get to the bathroom.
Exactly. That is core flow. And it's a cumulative annoyance. If you have to negotiate space every single time you want to brush your teeth, that is a micro stressor.
Yeah.
A good cabin choice accounts for existence space. It's not just about square footage. It's about the layout. Does the closet door hit the bed? Is there only one outlet and it's across the room? That's bad flow.
Which leads us to the third outcome, pace. This one was interesting because it has nothing to do with the room itself and everything to do with the itinerary.
This is where people waste the most money.
Yeah.
Pace is the ratio of ship time to shore time.
Okay.
If you are on a transatlantic crossing with 6 consecutive sea days, the room is your living room. You'll be there a lot. Space matters. You need a couch. You need a balcony to get fresh air.
versus a port-heavy itinerary, say the Mediterranean, where you're docking at 7 a.m. every single day.
Exactly. If you are doing Rome, Florence, Naples back-to-back, you are leaving the ship at 8 a.m. and coming back at 6 p.m. exhausted. In that scenario, the room is just a crash pad and a shower. If you pay for a massive balcony on that trip, you are buying a feature that fits a sea day pace, but you're living a port pace. It's a total mismatch.
You're paying for a view you're not there to see, and you're paying for outdoor furniture you're too tired to sit on.
Exactly. And the fourth outcome is access. This is about the daily commute.
And commute is the right word. These ships are basically floating cities now.
They are. Some are 3 or 4 football fields long. If your room is at the extreme forward, the bow and the coffee shop and dining room are at the extreme aft, you are walking a surprising distance.
I've tracked steps on a ship before. It is easy to hit 15,000 steps just going to breakfast in the pool.
It is. And for some people, that's great. It offsets the buffet.
Yeah.
But if you have mobility issues, or if you just want a lazy morning, being a 10-minute walk from your first cup of coffee is a tax.
A tax.
It's a tax on your time and your energy. Access is about reducing that daily friction by positioning yourself near your daily anchors.
So we have the framework: sleep, flow, pace, access. Now I want to apply this. Let's take the standard cabin categories to category court. I want to put them on trial based on these outcomes because I think a lot of the common wisdom here is just wrong.
Let's do it.
First up, the inside cabin, no windows, pitch black. The industry sells this as the budget option, essentially the penalty box for people who can't afford better. But the Lux Code calls it base camp.
I love that reframe. Base camp implies functionality. It implies a mission. If you are a specific type of traveler, high-energy, port-heavy itinerary, out of the room all day, the inside cabin is the single most efficient use of capital on the ship.
Because you get the same food, the same entertainment, the same pool deck as the guy paying triple.
Exactly. The ship is the destination, the room is just for recharging. And for the sleep variable, inside cabins can actually be superior. No early morning sun. It is a sensory deprivation tank. If you need total darkness to sleep, this is your winner.
But there is a catch. The source material highlights a specific sleep risk with inside cabins regarding location.
Right. Because inside cabins don't need window access. Naval architects often slot them in around the ship's internal organs. They might be next to crew stairwells, laundry chutes, or service elevators. So while you don't get sun, you might get the clank of operational machinery. You have to check the deck plan.
And obviously, if you have claustrophobia, this is a non-starter.
Correct. If you need a daytime sanctuary to read a book, the inside cabin becomes a cell. It fails the flow test for downtime. But if you're never there, it's genius.
Okay, moving up. The ocean view cabin. This is the window or porthole that doesn't open. I've always felt this is a weird middle ground. Is it worth the upgrade?
The data suggests this is often the crap category.
The trap.
People book it because they want natural light, which is valid. It helps with orientation and waking up. But they expect it to feel open.
But the window is sealed. You can't smell the ocean. You can't hear the waves.
And usually the room size is identical to the inside cabin. So you have an improved flow. You have an improved access. You've just added a visual. And depending on the deck, that window might look out onto a lifeboat or a public walkway where people are jogging past your room.
So you're paying a premium for light, but structurally you're still in the base camp setup.
Exactly. It's often better to either save the money and go inside or spend the money and go balcony. The middle ground is where the value proposition gets murky.
Let's talk about the balcony. The veranda, this is the dream, right? The marketing always shows a couple having a romantic breakfast with a perfect view, but the critique here calls it the expensive drying rack.
It's harsh, but look at the behavior. On a port-heavy cruise, most people use their balcony for 2 things: checking the weather in the morning for 10 seconds and drying their swimsuits in the afternoon.
That is an expensive clothesline.
It is. If you aren't actually sitting out there reading, drinking coffee, watching the sunset, you are paying for square footage that is outside the climate-controlled zone. However, we have to be fair. When the balcony works, it is transformative.
This goes back to pace, right?
Yes. If you are in Alaska or the Norwegian fjords, that balcony is your private viewing platform. You aren't fighting the grounds on the top deck to see the glacier. Or if you need private air.
Private air is a great term.
If the pool deck is chaotic, loud music, chair hogs, belly flop contests, the balcony is the only place you can be outside in silence. If you're an introvert, the balcony is a safety valve. That is worth paying for.
Okay, so if you value sanctuary, the balcony wins. Now, the top of the pyramid, suites, we assume this is the best, but the source material splits suite benefits into two buckets, real and theater. I found this distinction really useful.
This is critical for high-budget travelers. Theater benefits are designed to make you feel important, but they don't actually reduce friction.
Like the priority embarkation lounge with the lukewarm coffee.
Exactly, or a special colored key card. Or the butler, who essentially just answers the phone, which is what guest service room does anyway. Those are status markers. They feel nice, but they don't change the physics of your trip.
So what are the real benefits?
Real benefits solve flow and access. A separate living room, so one person can nap while the other watches TV. That solves flow. A bathtub when standard cabins only have tiny showers. That solves a physical comfort issue. Or dining access.
You mean exclusive restaurants?
Yes. On massive ships with 5,000 people, the main dining room is loud and chaotic. Access to a suite-only restaurant means quiet, instant seating, and better food. That creates a fundamentally different vacation. You are paying to bypass the crowd. That is a real benefit.
So if you're booking a suite, ignore the lanyard and look at the logistics. Does it give you time or space back?
Precisely. If it doesn't solve a problem, it's just marketing.
I want to pivot to what I think is the most technical part of this deep dive, the secret variable. The claim is that location beats category every single time.
It does. I would take a well-located inside cabin over a poorly located suite any day of the week.
Why is location so dominant?
Because location dictates the environment. The category just tells you what furniture you have. The location determines the noise, the motion, and the convenience.
Let's talk about deck plan bingo. This is the skill of looking at those confusing ship maps and spotting the red flags. The source material lists 3 major traps. The first one is the pool deck trap.
This is the most common mistake for new cruisers. They think, I want to be on a high deck near the action. So they book the deck directly below the pool.
Logically, that makes sense. Short walk to the Lido.
But physically, it's a disaster. The floor of the pool deck is the ceiling of your cabin. And what happens on the pool deck at 5 a.m.?
Crew members start setting up.
They unchain hundreds of metal sun loungers and drag them across the deck. It sounds like thunder rolling directly above your head. Scrape, scrape, scrape. It will wake you up every single morning.
So the rule is, never book the deck directly into the pool or the buffet.
Correct. You want the sandwich of silence.
The sandwich of silence. I like that.
You want a deck of cabins above you and a deck of cabins below you. That insulates you from public noise.
That is a golden rule. Okay, trap number 2, the blank space danger.
If you look at a deck plan, you see rows of cabins. But then you see these white voids. No room numbers, just blank space.
I usually assume that's just structural walls, nothingness.
It is never nothing. Space on a ship is money. If it's not a cabin, it's operational.
Yeah.
Those blank spaces are crew elevators, ice machine rooms, luggage staging areas, or pantry service doors.
High traffic zones.
High traffic and high impact. Heavy doors slamming, carts rolling, crew chatting. If your cabin shares a wall with a blank space, you are sharing a wall with the ship's industrial machinery. You want to be surrounded by other cabins, not white space.
That is such a pro tip. Beware the white space. And the third trap, the cardio trap.
This goes back to access.
Yeah.
You have to understand the vertical and horizontal layout. Elevators are usually in banks forward, midship, aft.
Okay.
If you book a cabin that is forward, but the elevator bank is midship, you might have a long walk just to get to the elevator. Then you go down, you have another walk to the dining room.
It adds up. And I imagine for motion sickness, location is huge too.
Absolutely. Think of a ship like a teeter-totter. The ends, the bow and aft, they move the most. The middle, midship, moves the least. And the lower you are, the less you feel the roll.
So if you are prone to seasickness, you want low and middle.
Low and mid. That is the center of gravity. A high-deck suite at the very front of the ship will feel every single wave. A cheap inside cabin on deck 2 midship will be as stable as a rock.
It's so ironic that the best room often has the worst motion and the cheap room has the best stability.
That's the physics of cruising, and the brochure won't tell you that.
So we've covered a lot of ground. We have the outcomes, the categories, the location traps. I want to synthesize this into a checklist for the listener. The Lux Code offers 4 decision tests. Before you press book, you run these 4 tests.
Right. Think of this as your pre-flight check.
Test 1, the ship time test.
This is the honesty test. Look at the itinerary. Look at your travel style. How many hours a day will you be awake in the room? Realistically, if it's less than 2, stop looking at balconies. Stop looking at upgrades. Book a secure, well-located inside or ocean view and take that extra $1,000 and spend it on a private tour in Rome or a specialty dinner.
Prioritize experiences over square footage if you aren't in the room. Test 2, the sleep risk test.
Are you a light sleeper? Do you need afternoon naps? If yes, you cannot book a guarantee cabin.
Explain guarantee for a second.
That's when the cruise line says, pay a lower rate and we will pick your room for you. It's a gamble. If you prioritize sleep, you can't gamble. You must pick a specific room number that passes the sandwich of silence test.
Got it. You pay for control. Test 3, the flow test.
This is about your party size.
Right.
2 adults, you're fine in most rooms. 2 adults and 2 teenagers. You have a bathroom bottleneck. You need to look at cabins with split bathrooms.
Right.
Like on Disney or some Carnival ships. Or you need to book 2 connecting inside cabins instead of 1 balcony.
Oh, that's a smart trade. 2 bathrooms beat 1 balcony every time for a family.
Every time. Friction in the morning ruins the day. Solving for flow means ensuring everyone can get ready without a fight.
And finally, the access test.
Map your anchors. If you are a gym rat, book near the spa or gym. If you are a buffet lover, book near the elevators that take you there. Don't book a room that forces you to traverse the entire ship 4 times a day unless you specifically want the exercise.
It really creates a totally different mindset. You want shopping anymore. You're engineering.
That's the goal. The cruise lines are selling a fantasy, the champagne, the sunset, the luxury, and that's fine. But you have to verify that fantasy against the logistics. A sunset is great, but not if you're exhausted from the noise and irritated by the cramped closet.
So to wrap this up, the Lux Codeway boils down to a few rules. 1, the best cabin isn't the most expensive one, it's the one that removes friction.
Correct.
2, if you're going to upgrade sleep and location before you upgrade amenities.
Always. Location is the hardware. Amenities are the software. Get the hardware right first.
And 3, treat the deck plan like a treasure map. Read the white spaces.
The deck plan is the only document that tells the truth.
Yeah.
The photos are staged. The descriptions are marketing. The deck plan shows you the reality of the steel you are living in.
I love that. It takes the mystery out of it. You know, as we're talking about this, about flow and friction and daily anchors, it strikes me that this isn't just about cruise ships.
How so?
Well, think about our own homes. We often accept friction in our daily lives just because that's where the room is. We tolerate a bad layout or a noisy environment because we haven't thought to engineer it.
That is a great perspective. We often live with poor flow in our own kitchens or bedrooms for years without realizing we can change it.
Exactly. So maybe the homework isn't just to book a better cruise, but to look around your house and ask, am I paying a friction tax here?
I like that. Reduce friction wherever you are.
A huge thank you to our expert for decoding the deck plans for us today. I will never look at those white spaces the same way again.
Safe travels.
And thank you for listening to the deep dive. Hopefully your next trip is a little smoother, a little quieter, and exactly what you need it to be. We'll catch you on the next one.